I'm Dr. Bernard Starr with a contrarian assessment of the dismally low attendance at Donald Trump's first rally held in Tulsa, Oklahoma since the COVID-19 virus came to the U.S. and all mass gatherings were banned. That ban was bad news for Trump, who feeds on the enthusiasm of loyalists at his rallies. It's his lifeblood. And he probably counted on his followers being desperate for a Trumpism fix. That's why he predicted a massive turnout with massive overflow. But only 6,200 reportedly showed up in the 19,000-seat Bach Center Arena. Critics of Trump jumped for joy, seeing the low turnout as a sure sign of his decline, and ridiculed the failed event. But was it a failed event? Does it signal a Democratic victory in November? Is the presidential race over? Judging by the Democratic reaction to the Tulsa rally, you would think so. But the fact is that the low turnout in Tulsa says nothing about diminishing support for Trump from his core base and may actually show the opposite. The success of the rally. Yes, the success of the rally. And here's why, as I explain in my article published in Op-Ed News titled, "Trump's Tulsa Rally Was Not a Failure. It was a big success, and Democrats should be worried." At a fundraiser for Joe Biden on June 23rd, Barack Obama advised Democrats not to be smug about winning the election, even though there is an awakening of young Americans energized and dedicated to reforms. He also warned that Donald Trump's growing failures and misdeeds do not ensure victory for Biden. Obama is right. You have to win an election, not count on your opponent losing it. No better example of smugness was the Democratic response to the turnout at Trump's Tulsa, Oklahoma rally on June 20th, his first on-site rally since the COVID-19 panic struck the U.S. Typical of his boasting, he predicted a huge turnout and massive overflow. To his embarrassment, far fewer showed up. As many as 2/3 of the seats were empty, and there was no overflow. In their assessment that Trump is slipping and his support waning, Democratic leaders and the liberal media were rife with ridicule of the event. They called it a colossal failure. Pundits riffed on this failure mantra nonstop for days. What a waste. What Democrats should be doing is fighting Republican dirty tricks aimed at suppressing voting, and they should be developing safeguards against election hacking by foreign governments. They should also be strengthening the Democratic campaign efforts and sharpening their message. Crowing about Trump's low crowd count will not lead to victory in 2020. Indeed, celebrating the Tulsa failure was especially foolish because the turnout signified nothing new in terms of Trump's ever-loyal base. The dismal turnout for his inauguration, which Trump tried to deny, you may remember those photos of the empty streets, that didn't diminish support from his ardent followers or his lapdog enablers in Congress. For his congressional supporters, there is no bar low enough for them to defect. If anything, the Tulsa rally was a success, not a failure. Thousands turned out for the event despite serious medical warnings, as well as the clear evidence of the danger of spreading the virus to young as well as old attendees, and they then bringing it to others. That's the virus's game plan. In spite of these warnings and the reports of a spike in infections in Oklahoma, 6,200 people were at the Bach Center Arena displaying fierce dedication to Trump. No, not the 19,000 that the stadium holds or the large overflow outside that Trump expected, but the low attendance does not represent mass defections from Trump. Nor does it indicate that the ones who didn't show up have switched teams and will now vote for Joe Biden. Just think about that. They're not going to vote for Joe Biden. It merely says they were not as foolish, some would say not as dumb, as the ones who came to the rally. What was the celebration in the Democratic camp all about? Nothing has changed. An analogy will illustrate this point. What if Joe Biden planned a rally in Madison Square Garden in New York City? How many Biden loyalists would file into the 19,000 seats of Madison Square Garden? I live in New York City, and I've observed the look of terror on passers-by faces when someone with or without a mask comes close to them, or when an elevator door opens and the person inside looks terrified that you might come in rather than wait for the next elevator. I'm sure the attendance at a Biden rally would be lower than the number that showed up in Tulsa. Surely those people I observed on the streets would stay away, as well as the person in the elevator. And others who Governor Andrew Cuomo has called New York smart wouldn't be there either. I certainly wouldn't. But I'm still supporting Biden. I'm not switching teams. And the same is likely for others who would stay at home and watch the rally on TV. But a full house of young Trump supporters at a Trump rally at a megachurch in Phoenix, Arizona, just a few days after the, quote, failed Tulsa rally, should serve as a reminder that the race is far from assured for Biden, no matter what bizarre actions or frightening incompetence the president or his supporters display. An estimated 3,000 of Trump devotees crowded into the Dream City Church in Phoenix, with no social distancing, virtually all without masks, in a state where the COVID-19 infection rate is surging. It's apt that this rally was held in a church, since the recklessly packed attendance was a strong statement of the followers' renewed marriage vows to Trump, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. The same vow is true for the Tulsa followers who risked health and life for Trump. The dedication of these devotees cannot be dismissed or ridiculed. Their worrisome loyalty should incite Democrats to double their efforts to defeat Donald Trump in November. So Democrats, listen to Barack Obama and drop the smugness. Avoid distractions, stay focused, and mobilize for victory. Thanks for listening, and remember, make sure to vote in November and get others to vote as well. 100 million eligible voters typically don't vote. And more disturbing, 54% of eligible young voters ages 18 to 29, as many as 19 million, didn't cast a ballot in the last presidential election. So help get them out to vote. Until next time, I'm Dr. Bernard Starr.